Welcome to Fearlessly Made You. I am your host, Kristie Tobias. Joining me today are guests just striving to dominate in their personal and professional lives while answering the question, what does it mean to be fearlessly made? On this episode of Fearlessly Made You, I am so excited to have yet another wonderful friend, wonderful accomplished friend in the house with me, Ed Lordman. Ed is the Executive Chef Extraordinaire at Polonza Bistro and also just an amazing human. I'm super pumped for you guys to meet Ed, so I'm not going to talk more about him. I'm going to have Ed talk more about himself, but y'all, Ed, so excited to have you on Fearlessly Made You.
Hey guys, glad to be here.
Yeah, so the cool thing that I love about having Fearlessly Made You is I can bring all my friends on, which is awesome. So cheers, first of all, to you being here. Y'all always know we have a little bit of wine.
Yeah,
yes.
We had many of these, but good to have one here.
Yes, absolutely. So Ed, one of the things that I would love for you to do is I always love to just find out more and dig in deeper into who you are, your background, kind of what got you here. But let's just start with, as you think about how you've gotten to this place in your life, like what brought you here. So let's go backwards. Who is Ed?
Well, I just always cooked. I think people are born to do this. I just said this the other day, I really feel like I was born to cook. But my family, they're big country people. We had fish fries. I went hunting.
Yes.
So I did all that kind of stuff, and we cooked what we grew and caught, and
So super natural.
So it's kind of naturally, I just kind of fell in love with it. My mom, she watched Iron Chef a lot, so
nice.
I was a mama's boy, so I always wanted to please mama. So I'm like, you know what? I'll be a chef.
You know what, everyone? I hope you just heard some very important information. Always wanting to please mama, like that's
very important.
Very important information. But please continue.
But yeah, so just it just kind of grew in me. I knew I was young. I was in school in like 10th grade. At the time, I took so you take the home ec, sew stuff, but you have to have like clusters, that we call them like clusters. So I took home ec just so I can take professional foods. So they offered like a cooking class in my high school, and
before that, you were already like kind of in the kitchen. I was already
just like kind of about it. I was growing up, always kind of say I want to be a chef. And so I just stuck by it. Really in my head, it was like, oh, this is easy stuff. I can just go to school and cook and eat in the class and just, make a quick 100, whatever. But I don't know. I just taken that. Miss Bishop, she was my teacher at the time, and I just fell in love with it. And I was just like, this is it. And so ever since then, I just worked. I didn't go to school much, but yeah. I mean, just naturally came out, and I always knew what I wanted to do.
I think what you say brings up so many things. I have so many questions, but they're good questions, because I think what you've brought up too is there's things like you are born to do. And I think too many times we get told what we're supposed to do, or someone says, this is safe route, do this instead.
Yeah, no, I always I was always kind of a little bit hard-headed. So I just wanted to just do my thing. And I think a lot of the most successful people just kind of have that mentality where they're just like, I'm going to do what I want to do. And, I'll take your criticism, or you can tell me, but at the end of the day, I'm going to take, use those gut feelings and, just go those routes.
I like that. I like the kind of take your criticism part too, because as a chef, I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of opinions about what you cook.
Yes.
So
we all have those.
Everyone feels like they know better than you. So tell me a little bit to kind of growing up for you as well, especially because you knew so early on, this is what you wanted to do. I'm sure there was a bit of a growth mode where you maybe had to take people's opinions that you maybe didn't want to, or uncomfortable moments there. Yeah,
I think that was mostly right in the beginning, when I started getting professional about it. And I was 23, 24. that's when it really started, like, cause you know, you're in the 18, 19, 20, 21, you're a young chef and you can go out and drink and party. And so you got all these crazy things in your mind. You're just having fun doing stuff like that. Yeah, you're kind of focused on the food. But like, kind of when I surpassed that, and I'm like, okay, I'm like creeping on 25. I just had a son at the time when I was 24. And this is really when I started getting into it. That's when I was like, I need to listen to this guy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I always tell my guys, you know, or anybody that's, you know, works for me, you know, there's the chef usually gets there for a reason. Right. You know, there's a reason why they're there. There's a reason why they're the chef, you know. So I think the best thing to do is really try to mimic, you know, that kind of the way about that person, you know, because it could potentially propel you into being, you know, an executive chef. So when I was working with executive chef Shane Taylor at the time, and at Georgia Country Club in Athens, Georgia. And like I said, when I was 23, 24, that's when I really just like, all right, I need to do what he's doing. You know, he's coming in early, he's doing things. So I need to really mimic that. When he's on it, he's on it.
It got real
you know,
for you
when
at that point.
You know, there's time to play and talk, you know, a bunch of mess, and there's time to like be serious and, you know, do what you're hired to do, and, you know, treat it like a business, you know. Is
Shane Taylor still someone that has mentored you throughout your career?
Yeah, I haven't talked to him much lately. Just a lot going on. I'm sure he's got a lot going on, you know, but we do touch base when it's absolutely necessary. And, you know, he talks through some stuff and, you know, coaches me. I always look up to him. And another one's Alex from Iron.
Yes.
I text him like, this is going on. I can't take it. And, you know, and he's just hang in there, man. It's not always, you know, rainbows and butterflies. Just hang in there. So
rainbows and butterflies. I like that. We're gonna put that on a slogan. It's not always rainbows
and butterflies.
No, that's cool, because you bring up a really cool point, which is you don't go on these journeys and become successful by yourself.
No.
There are people that are there in your corner.
A lot of influences.
Yeah. So let's kind of dive into that a little bit. So going back just a little bit. So you were in Georgia when you were like 23, 24. Mm-hmm. What brought you to Pensacola?
I actually just followed Shane at the time.
Okay.
When I was at the Georgia Country Club, I was just like a kitchen manager, kind of like worked my way up to like a kitchen management role. And I don't know, he found a job here. You know, him and his family moved down here, and it's like, hey, you know, I wasn't done learning from this guy, you know, so, and like I said, I just had a kid at the time, and I was born and raised in Georgia, and I was just like, you know, it's time to spread my wings, get out there and see the world, move, you know. So, I mean, pretty much it was just like, I just wanted to take a chance. I wanted to get out of my hometown. I felt like it was the absolute best move for me to like grow into like the chef I've become, which it definitely has shown to be very, very beneficial for me. But
absolutely. As someone that has had the privilege of having any type of food that Ed has cooked, I mean, and it's not even like me just saying that because you're here. Like, I love food in general. I mean, that's just a thing. But I love good food like that you can tell someone is passionate about and they put their heart into. And I think that's the first time I met you. I think that was the first thing that I noticed was just everything that you do. You can tell you're investing your energy.
Yeah.
So when that light switched on for you, like you were saying, when you're 23, 24, it sounds like you really kind of drove with that.
And I'm still like, you know, I'm 32 now, and that I'm still like, I don't know. I feel like the flame like has burned hotter and hotter.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes like I feel like in this industry, it burns so really hot when you're young, and then you get 30, you burn out, you're tired of, you know, this and that. It's very stressful, you know, job. You know, it's how stressful trying to feed people very good food and trying to stay ahead of other people.
Like strong opinions.
Yes, exactly. You have to please everyone. But I feel like with me, it's still like, you know, I'm still about it. Yeah.
That's really good though. You can see that though. And it's, I think the cool thing too, is that there's a lot of things that people can say or do or tell you about, whether it's the food you cook, the way they feel when you cook, but it really has to still be part of like what inspires you every day. And so thinking about that, we talk about Fearlessly Made You and what that means. And so as the reminder to everyone, you know, Fearlessly Made You is the spinoff of Fearlessly Made You, the book. And it talks about living your fearless existence, which isn't being without fear. It's just not letting that fear own you. And so I would love to know for you as well, thinking about your life. So where my mind goes is, you know, 23, 24-year-old you moving to a brand new place. You have, you know, a new baby with you as well. That fearlessness had to have been there, not necessarily being without fear, but you're like, well, we're going to take this journey. Yeah.
I mean, you kind of have to just dive into it. I don't think, you know, there's been, you know, that question's like, when do you think is the right time? There's no right time. It's just, you know, things happen when they're supposed to happen. It's literally up to you when they do, you know, and whenever you're ready. And I just felt like, you know, I was just tired of, you know, just being the kitchen manager. I wanted to be the sous chef. I wanted to be the executive chef. I wanted to, you know, have my name on menus and people eat like my dish that like I came with, you know. So I just went for it, just jump right in.
I love that. And a teaser, because we'll definitely get to this. All of that has happened. And it is in total progress right now. I'm not going to spoil the surprise yet because I want you to really work up to it and give something for people to see. But I can just say watching, so getting the chance to watch someone that you admire and that, number one, like, first of all, anyone who dedicates their life to being in a kitchen, not just cooking, but like a little uniquely talented is the word. Like we need wine for this conversation for sure. But doing that, it's just, I think about growing up for me, I think we talked about this briefly, but so I grew up with a Jamaican background, and in Jamaican culture, there's a lot of cooking because we like our own food, but it's, you know. And so, but it's so different in doing that because you're like, I like my own food, but I need sustenance, and doing that for other people and having that passion and that heart and that drive, like you said, that fire burning. Yeah,
and I always think about it too, is like people, like chefs, I feel like they forget the money in business. And I think that's kind of really starting to, like when I started working at Iron, I kind of like started really focusing on that, portion sizes and all this stuff. And just like, people were coming in to your restaurant to pay for food.
Yes.
When, you know, they could cook food. They could have went, you know, Walmart, got veggies, did whatever. But any place that I work, even if I'm not the chef, if I'm just the lowest of the totem pole cook, I still want to be able to produce the absolute best.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like sometimes that kind of gets away when you get busy or you're tired and your emotions kind of take over and you're just like, screw it. But I think it's really starting to dig into me. It's like, man, these people are coming in here and they're paying money. And, you know, the way times are now, you know, it's, you know, we need to just simply provide the absolute best, you know, even if it's a $9 appetizer, I still want to be the best $9 appetizer or the best $31 entree, you know, that they that they paid for. So I've been really trying to teach that, like, you know, we need to really take care of our guests. We need to really, you know, that being a chef is more than just cooking.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, there's a lot of great, like, home cooks, I feel like that do stuff better than me. You know, like there's stuff I'm like, oh my God. But, you know, but then they come in the kitchen, they ain't gonna be able to do what I do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So they can cook a good meal, but they can't pump it out and like know how to kind of manipulate certain aspects to make it where it's servable for a mass. So, you know, you gotta learn how to you know, get 5 other people to cook exactly like you. That's the hardest part.
So let's hold there, because that's a thing. Like that is an
hard.
entire thing. And I think that's the part that I want people to really appreciate about the work that you do. And I think, again, we take it for granted because we're like, order food, it comes out, looks great.
Oh, the chef made it.
No, like that's not how that works.
It's like this kid or this guy that I'm teaching that made it. Like I'm creating it. I made that. Sometimes I do work the line. There's probably a lot that I have made a lot of people's dishes in this town, even me being a chef, because, you know, I just love cooking. I like being there. But yeah, it's the other people, you know, they're really the ones that are trying to learn, and they're the ones that sweating over the grill and, oh, sorry, chef, it's coming up, you know. So
that's going to be really hard though too, because there's a development, and I'm curious for you, especially in your world. I think about growing new people into understanding what it means to care about the work that they do. And in those situations where maybe you have, you know, 4 or 5 line cooks and one of them just, you can tell is just like, this isn't for me, I'm just here for a job. Like, how do you deal with that? Because that's going to be frustrating.
They're there, and they're in every kitchen. You know, you have those people, you know, and like, you know, it's just certain things that you deal with. You know, if they're sometimes you need bodies, and then sometimes like I kind of make it a challenge to maybe try to break through and maybe, you know, get through. But, you know, it's just, you know, if they're producing, I'm gonna continue to try to work with them. You know, I don't want to just throw my hands up in the air right off the bat. But then, you know, if it's just become cancerous, it's a spreads problem, then you know, you just have to cut them loose, you know. And the service industry is a lot of changes.
Yes.
You know, people come and go. People grow too. It's not just like people not performing. There's people that perform so great that they move on somewhere else. You know, so, and I love seeing that. I love that. I love bringing them up. And
as you say that too, it kind of brings the question of there multiple questions. So one of the questions is that there is people that don't look like you or I, or people actually that look like you and I that don't see people that look like you and I, like in the industry, the service industry, as a chef, and they see it dominated by other people, whether it's cultural backgrounds. You know, in my world, there's a lot of, and you guys have heard me say this, I'm in a world where there's a lot of middle-aged white men, and it really is just me sometimes. And so for you, I'm so curious, especially as you're like talking about developing others, it brings that to my mind of there are probably kids out there that are like, okay, this is my shop, but I haven't seen this, so I don't really know what to do. But for you, how has that been, like, probably maybe being the only person? Well, my whole life, I'm mixed. So I grew up with, you know, primarily my white side of the family, you know, if you want me to be honest. But that makes a difference too.
No, it is a thing too, you know, being, you know, a colored chef in primarily white southern town, you know, but yet I'm still winning like best chef 2 years or best up and coming, hopefully best chef.
I'm calling it right now. Let's just say.
So winning stuff like that, I'm not even from this town. Right. You know, I'm from some other little small town in Georgia. Which is a whole other thing in and of itself, and then, like I said, just being the colored. So it's, I think about that a lot. You know, I really have a lot of pride behind it. I don't really talk about it. It's honestly probably the first time, like, openly that I talk to, you know, about this. I say this stuff to my girlfriend, or, you know, I have a guy, Luther Scott. He's worked with me at Iron. Yes. And even before he started, he was like, brother, you know, he's a black guy, amazing chef, and he's in school right now at PSC. But he was like, man, he's like, you're a brother coming up, and I absolutely want to be a part of this. This is real big, this doesn't normally happen in this town. I think I handle it well. So like going back to what I first said, I kind of grew up with the white side, and I dealt with it my whole life. It's none of that's never bothered me. Yeah. I always just like kind of had my head held high. Yes. And knew better. Yes. And I could talk and joke, but at the end of the day, I'm just a human being, man. I'm just grinding, and regardless of what race, I don't ever focus on that, because I've kind of, like I said, dealt with it when I was younger. And so now it's just like, I don't really bat an eye to it, and I don't think about it often, but when I do, it is very nice, and I am very proud of it.
I love that. And I think that's something for especially the Fearlessly Made You crew to really think about. And y'all have heard me tell this story. I don't know if I've told you this story, but so I moved from North Carolina to Pensacola, and it's been
North Carolina.
Isn't it beautiful?
I have family in Asheville.
Yeah.
That's where my dad's side's from.
Oh yeah, it's such a gorgeous area, and I go back there like every 2 to 3 months just because I have like family and everyone's still there, and I loved it. North Carolina is there's a little more representation for sure there, because you've got all of those schools, and but there was still, there was always me, and I grew like throughout my time, have lived in the South and was in Alabama, which is a whole other conversation, and that was fun. But when I came to Pensacola, I had an opportunity with the corporate side of my job to move back to North Carolina, because I was in like a full-time travel role. And one of the mentors, and you guys hear me talk about him a lot, Quinn Studer is one of my business mentors and friends. And he asked if I would consider staying in Pensacola and to help support, like we didn't have a lot of Black young leaders and Black young professionals. And he asked if I would consider working with him on that.
Really awesome.
Well, and it's to your point though, it was one of those things where I was like, well, I've always been Black and young in myself, and like, not that I didn't think about it per se, but it was that pride of like, this is how I stand up. Yeah. Like, and yes, I talk about those things.
Everybody can, because you were, you probably you treated it right. You didn't lash out in the negative, you just took it in, knew it was right and wrong. And that's what makes people like us kind of stand out and be able to be like a voice and kind of shine for that.
Absolutely. Well, and it's the learning piece of it too, I think, is like you said, like when you were younger, you were like, well, this is just kind of part of who I am. It is. And for me, when I was younger, like you're mixed race, like being Jamaican, like we identify as Jamaican. And so like, I always knew I was Black when I was 10 years old. Not that I didn't think I was Black before. I always knew the color of my skin. Yeah. But I had my Jamaican, and anyone that's Jamaican or from any part of the Caribbean will know, like that's kind of your cultural aspect. So like when you're in Jamaica, you're just Jamaican. Like there isn't a Black, white, or whatever. So it was interesting, like growing up and coming from like Alabama, which is where I had my first like racist experience. No offense to anyone from Alabama. It was just that time when I was there that I had to like make a decision, because I did get mad. Like I was angry for a little while, like throughout teenage years. Yeah. Oh yeah. But to your point, have your moments, you do. But the lash out doesn't, for us at least, like it doesn't work.
Just didn't carry it into your adult. Just kind of let it be.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of ignorant people. And,
yes, there are.
I just don't want to add to it.
Oh my gosh. I think we're going to have to cheers to that one. We are not adding to the ignorance that we see in the world. But what I would love to kind of touch on too, though, is kind of bringing all of this together and thinking about your own child and the legacy and the things that you're teaching them. So when we think about like living that fearless existence, not allowing fear to own you, there's also but what am I teaching my kids and what am I showing them? So I'd love to know for you, if you're thinking about whether it's your child, whether it's anyone like these, up and coming cooks who are trying to learn from you, and they're trying to figure out how to also live in that fearless space. So having that pride, standing for yourself, owning your craft and what you're good at, what advice would you give to whether it's your child, these new and developing cooks, or anyone, and how they can really kind of stand in that fearless space? It's
hard. It's hard to like just be you. That's honestly all I can say. Is you're gonna get a lot of flack for anything you do in life, no matter what route you take, whatever job that you choose. There's always going to be somebody that has an opinion or like think you should do something different. Just whatever's right here is, that's just what you need to go with. You got to also kind of, you can't just, I'm going to just quit my job and you can't just up and quit a job, without having some kind of financial background. Cut your days back a little bit, spend more time making, drawing, and then, sell more until you get that, can afford it, then quit your job and go to. So you also got to play it smart. You got to, being successful isn't, it's out there for everyone. Yeah. It's, it's not, maybe not necessarily, I'm gonna say it is like made for everyone. Like anybody could, whatever it is you do, but you just got to really trust yourself. Yes. You got to have confidence. You cannot continually second guess and maybe, whatever is going on. I couldn't get nobody to watch my kids. Like there's always somebody that's out there that's going to help you. But just stick to your guns. Do not let them down. That's just one thing. I always fight. Yes. I always fight. Yeah. I wanted to be a chef. I made sure everywhere I worked that I was looked at as like one of the top cooks. Even if I wasn't a chef, you just gotta just bust your ass and, just work. Don't let your guns down. Yeah.
That true words have never been said, because I think especially right now, there's so much going on. You mentioned it earlier, the service industry, there's a lot of change. Mm-hmm. There's, we talk about the great resignation and all of those things, but a lot of things that are happening too is people get tired and they start to give up because they don't necessarily want to put in that work.
That's when you got to like put it in. Because when you're getting tired, that's like you're getting to that like point of like you're about to be something. You're about to really about to break through. I just made like this post thing. I'm gonna say it on here. It's like on Instagram, and it was somebody told me, and they were saying that I don't know the guy, whatever. Before you break through the sound barrier, the cockpit like shakes like that's very true. Violently. Yeah. And then as soon as you break through that sound barrier, it's just complete bliss, calm, and just everything you achieve is just right there. I love that. So when things are like the absolute rockiest, when you're working like, I've worked 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., almost been up for 24 hours and stuff, working 16, 18 hours of it. Like, I'm done. This is crazy. Why would anybody do this? Yeah. And I just remember, it's rocky because it's about to get absolutely amazing. Yes.
I think so many people need to hear that. What you guys don't see is behind the scenes, our team is like applauding Ed right now, which I love to share a little bit about that too, so that you guys know, like it resonates so deeply. And if that did not resonate with you, may I recommend that you get a glass of wine, take a little sip, like Ed and I are doing here. Yes. And then just, think about it for a minute. I'll give you a second. Okay. It resonated, didn't it? So my goodness, like I think that is exactly what people need to hear, especially right now. There's so many people going through rough times in general. Yeah. And it is the rough pieces.
It's been rough. Yeah.
And it's that rockiness. I think that's part of life. I was having that conversation recently, and we were talking about the uncomfortable moments that we get through, that it's not so much like the getting from like current state to future state, or getting from like point A to point B. Mm-hmm. It's that in between and what you're learning in that.
That's the most important part.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So important. So I think one of the things too, though, is, and this is going to be an interesting question for you. So just so you guys know, because we've got to tote where Ed is at right now, why don't you talk to us a little bit about where you're at right now and what you're doing? Because I'm so, y'all, as you can tell, I'm like giddy with happiness. So tell everyone kind of where you're at right now and what you're doing.
Well, I am beyond happy. So I'm going to tell this little story. When I was 23, 24, when I was going into it, my executive chef was 31 at the time. All right. So I told myself when I was 23, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna give myself one more year. But by the time I'm 32, I will be an executive chef, wherever it is. I'm going to be running the kitchen. And 6 months before my 32nd birthday is when I took the job at Polonza to be executive chef. So I'm
y'all, okay. Yes. We just keep drinking wine, but yes. Oh my God, y'all. Get out a glass of wine and cheers that. That's huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
So I've been there 7 months, changed the breakfast menu, changed the lunch menu, switched up some stuff on brunch, you know, just been kind of playing around and trying to figure the lunch stuff, daytime stuff out. But my heart and soul is into like finer, like dinner stuff. That's just me. An artist when it comes to, you give me a plate and it's gonna be, I'm gonna make sure it's beautiful.
I can attest to
this.
this.
I really get nerdy about it. I love plating. That's my favorite part about cooking, is putting that final product on the plate. Of course, all the process. I love it all. I love it all. So 7 months later, I introduced dinner at Polonza Bistro.
Yes. Oh my God.
So this past weekend was our opening weekend and went absolutely wonderful. I could not be more happy. I don't think I had a dinner service that was just so seamless and just nice. The cooks were happy. We were all happy to just be serving just phenomenal food.
Yeah, the atmosphere, as someone who got to be part of it, y'all, the atmosphere, you could feel it.
She got to, I invited to Kristie, of course, I had to.
It was so nice.
You've seen me. I have. You've been at Iron, so to be able to
That's where we first met,
yeah. So to be able to feed you like my food was just, I'm just happy.
It was an honor. Like it really, I was so honored that you invited me, first of all. It was such an honor. But I think one of the things that I love as well is in understanding from you kind of where you've been, how you've gotten here. It's also the conversation around, and I think it'll be a good thing for everyone to hear, like as we kind of close our time together, is knowing that you've gotten this accomplishment, you're probably working your ass off, even more so.
Yeah.
And so you got to find some balance.
Yes.
So I definitely want to know, and one of the things I always talk about with balance for me, I find my balance in wine culture a lot of times. So I always ask people about like favorite beverages and drinks and all that stuff, but I want to hear from you where you find your balance, and in that balance, if you have like a go-to beverage there, like what it is. Yeah,
I love whiskey. I'm a big whiskey.
Yes.
Old Granddad is probably 80 proof, just the rye. I would say the Old Granddad rye.
Yes.
Is definitely my go-to. I love whiskey. But balance, if you want me to be really honest,
yes,
I always struggled with balance. I always throw myself into my work, and when things are going wrong at the my personal life, I'm throwing myself into work, to forget whatever's going on. So if you want me to be honest, I'm really still trying to figure it out and work on that.
Yes.
I'm really trying to figure that out.
That's a great response, though.
But like what I do, I just love food so much. I'll go home and just chill. I don't really, because I've worked so much, when I'm off, I have to shut it off.
Yeah.
It's hard to, because, being executive chef, I'm still texting and ordering on days off. But like, I really kind of just take the time just to sit at home and relax.
I like that.
But I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm really like, whether I go to beach or take up surfing or, go, frisbee golf or something, I really am trying to figure out something to do more outside with nature, because I love being outside.
That'll give you a little balance, though.
I want to go, and honestly, like, I would love to go like to be a farmhand, something, work on the farm or go hunting more.
These are all
something
very
kind of like,
active for you though, but is that kind of, it sounds like that's where you find yourself rooted.
And I can't, I don't like to sit still. So that's why I work it, a lot. So I'm really honestly just, like I said, trying to figure that out.
That's good though.
It's a hard one. It's a hard one for me.
And I think people need to know that and hear that, because I think too many times, I talk about finding balance, but you guys know one of the things I talk about is it's always a struggle for me too. So it's important for us to be really honest. Like there's no perfection to what we do and who we are. There's the work, there's the grind, and there's the constantly just trying to figure it out. Yeah. And I love that honesty. And I've loved your honesty, your vulnerability, just hearing your story, learning things about you I didn't know before.
You having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much. Just a joy and a treat. And who knows, we may have Ed come back for maybe a special show, learn a little bit from the chef, the executive chef, to be clear. But again, thank you so much. And y'all, make sure that you stay tuned for the next episode of Fearlessly Made You.